Welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and this is the Fitness Corner. My guest today is Tom Neal. He is from the Southeast Seattle Senior Center, here today in the studio to talk to you about his fitness journey, what brought him to the Southeast Seattle Senior Center, and how he's doing now from the first time that he came in. So please, I want you to help me welcome Tom Neal. Tom, welcome to the show.
Hello, good to be here.
All right. I'm so happy that you were here. Tom, I'm going to get into what made you come to the Senior Center, but I want to talk to you about you had issues walking. You were on a walker. I remember that.
Right.
And I want to get into that. So before you came to the Senior Center, how did you end up on a walker?
4 years ago, I fell down, just flat on my back, fractured a vertebrae, and I couldn't stand up. I couldn't roll over in bed. I was in the hospital. I spent time in assisted living, and finally, after a couple of years of that, I moved out here, and my son got me into physical therapy.
So good. So just a second. So you fell.
I fell.
Just tripped like on the sidewalk or something?
I was in my house. I was trying to make a turn around, and just hit the ground, and I heard a crack.
Hit the floor?
I hit the floor. I knew it was something serious, and I couldn't walk.
Now, at the time, where were you living?
I was living in Virginia.
Okay, Virginia.
Yeah.
You were living in Virginia at the time when you fell. And then you had to go to the hospital.
I ended up in the hospital.
How long were you in the hospital?
Off and on, I was in hospital, then rehab, probably about 3 or 4 months.
Months in the hospital?
Yeah, in rehab. And then
was rehab in the hospital? Or did you get transferred?
I got transferred into a rehab situation.
So how long were you in the hospital?
Probably about a week.
A week.
Yeah, it took them a while to figure out what the problem was, what I should do, where to go.
Right.
And it was kind of slow. I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
And and then they just felt that you had to go to the.
I needed more care, and then I got into the setting where I could get the care, and the question was who's going to do it.
Turn towards your mic. There you go.
And the question is who's going to do it, and the people were physical therapists, and they knew the drill and they knew the exercises, and I worked with them pretty much every couple of days and got into a routine. I did it every day, and I got to a point where I could walk with a walker, but I couldn't walk. And I sort of got a little better, but I never got to a point where I could walk.
So you mean when you say you couldn't walk, you couldn't walk without the walker?
Oh, I absolutely had. I took the walker absolutely everywhere. I couldn't go to the bathroom without the walker.
Wow.
Everybody got used to it. I didn't like it.
Were you walking, like dragging your feet, just snail walking, really slowly, shuffling? How was that? I was
dragging my feet, and the therapist would tell me, quit dragging your feet, and I'd try, but my legs I didn't have any strength in my legs.
So what did they do in terms of trying to get you strength, to get you better, or was it that's it, there's nothing else? How did that go down?
The thing that I did that helped the most was to walk up and down stairs, and that was very hard. It took a lot of lifting. Usually I used my shoulders to get up the stairs.
Exactly.
And then I kept myself from falling down, but I wasn't walking.
Right. A lot of tricep strength trying to hold yourself up.
A lot of strength, right. Upper body strength.
Yeah. Right.
And I did that for off and on for about a year. And I got out here 2 years ago, and my son realized that I could do physical therapy, but he really wanted me to get into an exercise class somewhere. And he started checking around, and he heard about something at Southeast Senior Center, that there was a guy down there named Mark, and that we should go down. Yeah, he said, that's the guy down there. You should go down and see him. And so we went down, walked in the front door, and said, we'd like to take the exercise class. And people said, well, you're going to have to talk to Mark. And I said, well, okay. And they pointed you out, and we talked. And you said, no, you can't go in this class, but maybe come back and I'll work with you one-on-one, which you did.
Right.
And we did that for, I don't know, a few weeks. I mean, it was really good. 3 days a week.
Yeah, I think we did it for a little longer than a few weeks.
Okay, well, it was a while.
Yeah.
But I went from standing up and turning and holding my own and balancing and
Right.
getting confidence that I could balance and not fall over. Huge, huge breakthrough.
Now you were also surprised at some of the exercises that I've given you that you didn't get from physical therapy where you were, right? You were
Well,
you were at a physical therapy setting, I guess, in Virginia, and some things that I introduced you to you didn't get.
well, there were some things I'd been told to do that you said, you don't need to do that. Don't do that. It's bad for you. And I said, okay, I'll not do it. And you said, do this instead. And so I started doing what you suggested instead of what I've been doing.
Uh-huh.
And I began to get stronger and better and more balanced. And it just got better and better and better. I mean, it really improved noticeably week to week. I could tell that I was getting stronger.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I noticed when you started to stand up from a chair and sit back down, that was just getting a few reps in was hard, very challenging for you
Right.
until you gotten used to it.
And doing squats was just about impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it was impossible. I just didn't have the knee strength or the leg strength to do that sort of thing.
And what we wanted to show today, Tom, and I have to apologize about that. I was trying to get a video somehow on here to show the audience how you squatted back in my class, but we just couldn't.
It was a big day.
I couldn't get the video out here in time and figure out how to do that, so we don't have it. But you did squat indeed, and you did it without any assistance.
That's correct. And I think everybody was surprised. They said, well, look at what's going on here. And it was probably 6 months, maybe longer. I don't know.
Right. Yep. And so what are you doing? So that's how that happened in terms of from where you were in Virginia until now. I'm curious though, what made your son actually choose the Southeast Seattle Senior versus? Did you guys look at any other senior centers?
He looked at 2 or 3 other senior centers, and they had classes. The Southeast Seattle Senior Center came recommended, and by some people very highly, as a place to go if what I wanted to do was physical therapy and exercise. So your reputation was out there on the street, sort of quiet, no advertising, but people knew. And I went, and I never had second thoughts about it. Knowing what I'd been doing that didn't work and knowing what I should do instead was a big transition. And you read it like a book, to be honest.
Yeah, I think one of the things from you is one thing for me to know stuff. It's one thing for me to know the exercise and know how to get a person do something. And then that other half is you, that the person has to be willing to do it. Yes. You know what I mean? Now, granted, the work wasn't all easy. I could tell you that, you know that.
It was not.
But you kept coming. And so it's the persistence on the other person's part, too, that's going to make this work.
Correct.
Because I can teach you all I want and give you all the facts.
Right.
But if you're not willing to work a little hard and feel a little discomfort, it's just not going to happen.
That's right. You got to do the work, and you got to have your eye on the prize, what you want to do, while you're doing it. And as I made progress, I never lost the vision of what I was. This was about learning to walk.
Right. Right.
And about sometime halfway through last year, I started walking without the walker.
Right.
Completely. And some days I don't use it at all. And I work as a volunteer at the senior center.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say that. Yeah, you are getting around the senior center very well. You're doing lunches and everything. As a matter of fact, you were doing my morning class.
I did the morning.
You were doing the morning classes at 9 o'clock, 3 days a week.
Then I'd go volunteer, and they started getting me. Well, why don't you volunteer now when we really need you at 9, not later? And so I started doing that, and it worked.
So basically, I'm going to interpret this like this here. As I helped you get better and walk, now that you can walk, you just said, the hell with Mark and just leave me and go volunteer.
Something like that.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to do something useful.
Let me get away from this crazy guy. Now that I can walk, I'm getting out of here.
There were other people in the class who were looking at what I was
doing. I know, right?
But they weren't doing it. I mean, they weren't trying to make progress the way I was. I mean, I was really wanting to push. and I
And,
did.
and see, you hit that right on the head. You say that you really wanted to push, and that's the thing. We can go back to that old saying: you can bring a horse to water, but now, how do you drink it or you don't drink it?
Right.
All right, and so it's the same thing. You get people in class, and you hear how I teach my class.
I
Sometimes
know.
I get on them people. Say, look, you guys got to do this. I kind of give them the grill. Sometimes you got to do this. You got to do this, and some of them get the message. Some of them do not.
Right.
But yeah, it's your outcome. What do you want? How do you want this outcome to be?
Well, and they also, Mark, I mean, you read every student in that class exactly where they were. And you had said, try this. And you have them try the thing that was hardest for them to do. And you help them do it the right way.
Right.
And you emphasize the form of exercise, which was huge.
Right.
It matters a lot. How you place your feet, how frequently, how hard you push,
Right.
how many repetitions I mean, all of that works. And a lot of people don't have the patience. I mean, most folks find it hard to do that. I mean, to take that kind of direction and
Right.
just do it.
Right. So when you went to the other exercise classes at the senior center, did you observe the other classes? Did you guys just walk into the senior center and say, nah, that's not for me?
No, we didn't even go to the other places. I mean,
you didn't go into C to take a look at the program?
my son called him, talked to him. I think he may have gone to the one in West Seattle. The first one we
West
went.
Seattle?
I think so.
Wow.
He lived in West Seattle.
Oh, okay, so that's why he went over there.
Yeah, yeah. We were looking around. He was willing to drive me wherever it was, and so I take the bus, the shuttle bus, 3 times a week to come down to your class. So that's how it all started.
So, hang on. When you were coming to the Southeast Seattle Senior, where were you living?
Beacon Hill.
So you would take the shuttle
4 miles down to Southeast Shuttle to Senior Center and take the class, volunteer, and get the shuttle back.
Wow.
Phew.
Yeah, I'll say that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot.
And you still do the shuttle right now?
Yeah,
No, it's the same thing?
Most
Wow.
days.
So, that's very interesting how this all came about. You had an issue where you could, didn't you tell me that at one point in Virginia, I don't know if it was a doctor or a therapist, kind of told you that you probably wouldn't walk again?
There was a therapist whose name was Marvin, and I'll never forget him. And he said, "No, you're never going to walk again. Forget about it."
Now, when this is so bad to say to anyone, but when did he tell you that, when you first arrived, or for a while when you spent time there?
I'd been working with him for 6 months.
And so
I was working with different therapists, him 1 day a week. He was the supervisor of the other people.
he was a supervisor?
Yes. And I thought he was kind of a jerk. But he seemed to know what he was doing, and he had a position. And he spoke with authority. And I remember thinking at the time that he was wrong and that I was going to walk again, and I was going to show him. I haven't still taken in the video to send it to him, but I will.
I'm just curious. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, which is so hard to do. What made you think he told you that you wouldn't walk again? What was it that you did or said, or that did he see that made him say that?
I was walking off and on with using canes, and nobody had ever showed me how to use a cane. And I don't like to use a cane. I didn't like it then.
Right.
And I got rid of them as soon as I could. But he was frustrated that I didn't seem to be showing any improvement.
Oh,
and I was seeing him once every 2 weeks.
Wow.
So the people I was working with were conscientious. They showed up, but we didn't have any sense of continuity or progress. I mean, there was no pattern to it.
No, okay.
And there's a lot of change in personnel.
Oh, I got you.
I never knew who I'd see next. I mean, always somebody familiar, but somebody different.
So almost kind of like just going through the motions while you're there, and then almost experimental type of thing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
yeah, I mean, there wasn't a plan.
There wasn't a plan.
And my plan was to learn to walk.
Okay. But your plan and what they had in mind just didn't match, huh? And according to you.
And then he told me I wasn't gonna, so I was.
So what? You know what? I'm curious. I know I'm hopping on this a bit, but I am. But I'm very curious about your response or what you said to him, and I'm also curious about how you felt, mentally after the fact, because that can stay with you for a while. I want to find out about that, and also want to find out what's going on with the senior center now. But before I do that, Tom, I think there's some more people who want to hear this amazing story. I don't want us to be the only ones. So if you're just tuning in, welcome to Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm your host, Mark Bryant, and this is the Fitness Corner. I have an amazing guest with me, Tom Neal, and I'm going to tell you something. If you just tune in, you really missed the first part of this show, which is amazing, an amazing inspirational story, but it's not the end. There is more. I'm telling you, there's more. No, I'm not going to tell you. Tom's going to tell you. Tom, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tom. No, we were discussing about your journey through rehab out of
Right.
Virginia, I believe.
Right.
And you just told me a person said that believed that you would never walk again. What did you say in response to that? First of all,
I told him, I said, you're wrong. And
yeah, you got to ding. You were right.
I said,
right.
You're wrong.
Uh-huh.
And he said, well, you'll see.
Yeah. When you say you see, you just got to be him. There you go.
Yeah,
That's good.
and I saw him again a couple of times.
Same attitude, huh?
Same. Well, I was making progress.
Okay.
He could see that I was making progress. And I didn't ask him, what do you think now? The other therapists I worked with knew that he had told me that.
Oh.
They knew I thought he was a jerk.
Oh, my God.
And we sort of talked about it. So the people that I would send the video of me walking now to would be some of those folks that I worked with and say, by the way, just share this with my friend.
You know,
Marvin.
I was going to say that you should send him that video yourself.
I will.
Okay, because first of all, I'm shocked that he did not get in trouble by saying that to a patient. I really am, because you should never say that. So I'm really surprised by that.
I don't think he had a supervisor. I
Okay,
think he was
well, that's just wrong, because you don't diminish a person's hope. As long as they have hope that they can get better, as long as they're willing to try, you do everything you can to uplift that. No matter how small a progress, you always encourage that. Matter of fact, you can actually encourage it if there's no progress, because it makes them work a little bit harder. So that's really
right.
That is really.
I say you do that all the time.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And so that down your back, they're making these sound effects, which is cool. So that's what you do. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
But even though he told you, and you told him how you didn't appreciate it, how you didn't like it, how did that make you feel over the days, weeks, or maybe months, emotionally, mentally? Did it diminish your willingness to try?
Not a bit. I was determined. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I could do it. I was confident I could do it. And I never stopped trying. I mean, I kept on walking or trying to walk. And only when I got through the therapy I was doing out here,
right,
to a point where they sort of said, well, we've done everything we can with you.
Right.
And they graduated me. They gave me a certificate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm moving on.
Okay.
But I'm still not walking without the walker. And that's what led me to take the class at the senior center.
So you made tremendous progress with some amazing guy at the senior center.
Yes, indeed. And graduated into being a volunteer.
I'm sorry.
3 days a week.
I'm sorry to give you a certificate. I would have known I made one up for you.
But, all right. I like that.
He gives me a ding on that. But yeah. But here's the deal. On a serious note, you made amazing progress. I'm always talking about you to other seniors there. And matter of fact, other seniors are talking about you as well. They look at time getting around now.
Yes.
You're volunteering your time there. So you're making lunch and preparing it for other people, which is great. And there's times, sometimes you would be ready to go and, I got to go back and get my walker. So that's kind of a big sign that if you can forget your walker,
right,
someone must be doing very well. They can still manage on their own without it, which is awesome. Like today, you're here in the studio. You didn't even bring your walker today.
That's right. It's in the car.
It's in the car. And you just walk. You're walking. So that's fantastic. What's next on the matter of fact? You're working out where you live. You have weights,
right?
And you're still doing your upper body strengthening and your leg strengthening as well.
I do.
So you're still exercising a lot, right?
Every day.
Now you also know now that there's a weights exercise, and you know a little bit more about exercising than you knew before. Is that correct?
A lot more.
And what would you say is one of the main keys to exercising, correctly, and the things that you learned from it?
Well, You don't have to do it every day, but you need to do it regularly, so you don't lose the strength you build up, because it's a cumulative. It adds up.
Right.
The more you do, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the easier it is to do the exercise.
Right.
The more you can do. It's all builds. It's like any training program, and you get to a point where you really don't think about it anymore, but you find a place where it fits in the day, and it feels good. I feel much better after I exercise than I do before. And that's what it's all about.
Now, I want to ask you something, if you don't mind answering the question. When you first, and it's age related, when you first came to the center, trying to get into exercise and walk, how old were you?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I was 79 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
I'm 81.
You're 81, and you're much better than you were when you came in.
Much, much better, much more mobile, and happier.
Wow. See, that's amazing. So if someone who's out there in my audience listening now, that's in their mid 70s or 80s, and they may have some limitations, and they are really just maybe haven't taken an exercise class or program and said, it's not for me, I'm too old, it's nothing, no use. Coming from you, hearing your story, what would you say to that person or those people?
Get up and start doing whatever you can, and push yourself a little bit. Do two or three exercises, 2 or 3 reps. Tomorrow you do 3 or 4. Next week you do 4 or 5. Every day just a little bit more, a little bit harder. Work with somebody to keep you on track, but don't stop and don't give up. Just keep going, and you will notice it. You'll notice that you're feeling better, and feeling better is what it's all about.
Wow, that's very inspirational. That is super inspirational. That what he said, because it is true. I think a little bit goes a long way. So you don't have to do a whole bunch at once. Just do a little bit, and it will definitely go a long way. You have what's your plans being at the senior center now? What's the goal? What's the goal you see?
It's sort of open ended. I mean, it changes, it evolves. It's the more I walk around, the more I show up on a regular basis, the more new stuff I get. They say, "Oh, can you help with this? Can you do that?" Like, I break up all the cardboard boxes.
Right.
All the food comes in. I'm the guy that breaks up the cardboard.
And believe
boxes.
me, that may sound similar, guys, but it's not. That's a lot of work to be done.
We break 30, 40 cardboard boxes a day.
Right.
One day we had 65.
Oh, 65. Oh my God.
And the other thing I do pretty much every day is check the thermometers on all the freezers to make sure that the food
in
storage is right.
Right.
And if that's not done regularly, the health department gets on them. You got to be consistent. You got to read the thermometer. You got to know better. You got to know. There's 4 of them, and there's probably a ton or 2 of frozen food in there.
Right.
And it's got to be under temperature control and frozen. And I do that every day. I'm in there.
That's amazing. That ladies and gentlemen, that's amazing. So if you're not exercising and you're thinking about doing an exercise program, I can't think of any other reason why than what you just heard from Tom. But that is amazing. You're going to send videos to your family members. They're going to see this. That's your friends are going to see this.
They are.
What's your hopes when they see this? I don't know how many people in your family exercise, but what's your hopes when you share this?
Well, I want them to see how much progress I made, because they saw me when I couldn't walk. But more than that, I want them to be able to talk to people who might need a little encouragement. Like, you can't believe my brother's walking now. He didn't used to be able to stand up. I want them, and they will tell people. They will show people. And some of them are like my age, and they'll just, I think it's an idea that should catch on. I hope it does.
So have anyone in the scenes that walked up to you and just said how well you walk, how much progress you make?
Yeah. Somebody does it every couple of days.
Really?
Yeah. All sorts of people.
Do they say
people I don't even know. People, just total strangers, come up and say, I really like the way you're walking. And I say, thank you so much. If you have a chance, if they're on a walker, I say, you got to do the same thing.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's totally inspirational, that you can get people just to give you a comment that really notice you.
It may be pretty obvious that I'm so hesitant when I walk. So I'm not doing it. I'm not dancing around the floor, but they can tell that I'm working at it.
Well, if they look at you if they caught you early on in the beginning zone now, Yeah, that's a huge progress.
That's right.
So that's what's catching their eye. That's exactly
right.
what's catching their eye.
That's right. And those are the people that say stuff to me.
Wow.
A lot. I mean, I'd say 10 or 12, 15 people
Oh my gosh.
have made that comment over the past few months, 3 months.
3 months, huh?
Yeah.
Ain't that amazing? I've been there over 20 years and no one ever said a comment about me.
Well, I'm sure they said things about you.
Yeah, they did, but I can't say it on the air. So, Tom, listen, man, I'm happy you came down to the studio to talk to us.
I'm glad to share the
your
story.
Inspirational story. That's fantastic. And to let you know, people, there is hope, and just not to give up, but to try little by little, and it'll get there over time, right? And being fun is someone who knows what they're doing. And as you said, Tom, you're a big believer in the form. They got to make sure their form is
very important.
Right. What did your son have to say real quickly? How did your son respond to your ability to walk now and be independent?
He realizes how it happened, but he's been taking care of me since I fell.
Right.
He's been showing up and making sure that I got where I needed to go. And now I see him when he comes over for lunch. That's all he needs to do now. And I fix lunch for him. He comes over, we eat, we talk, and he goes back to work.
But I mean, like, how did he respond to that? Like, look at you now. What was his response to that change?
He's very pleased. He's thrilled. I mean, it's a story that, as far as he's concerned, has a happy ending.
Right.
And it was never clear before.
Right.
That it was going to have a happy ending.
Right.
This might just be the beginning of the way down.
Right.
And it wasn't the beginning of the way down.
Beginning of the way up.
It was the beginning of the way up.
And so he's happy that he made the right decision, chose the Southeast Seattle Senior
Center.
And
he knows that he had a lot to do with it.
Okay. The last quick question. You were at the Southeast Seattle Senior Center as a whole. What do you think of the place?
It's remarkable. It really is remarkable, the range of courses and classes and people who are there. Way more than I expected. And it's hugely supportive. And it reflects the entire community and the Rainier Valley and Seattle. I mean, it's every language and nationality you can imagine are in there, and you'd never see any awareness of race, color, or language. It's just everybody in there together.
Perfect. Who would you like to give a shout out to, Tom, before I let you go? Anyone you want to say hello to?
Well, I guess, my good friend Sandy, who's given me a lot of support. My son, you, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. I mean, it's made a big difference.
Okay. Well, Tom, I appreciate that. And thank you so much for coming down and being on the show. And I want you to continue to progress. There'll be rough days, but don't worry about that. That's what happens in the road. There's bumps in the road, but we can get over that, including myself. I'm a professional, but I have hard days too, but we make it happen, right?
Right.
So, Tom, I thank you. And if you're still around the Senior Center, I can probably bring you back sometime in the future and see what's going on then. All right.
Excellent.
Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning into the show. It's been great, very inspirational, and I'm really thrilled to have him come down here and be a part of it. So go ahead, find a place where you can exercise. Make sure the person's qualified and know what they're doing, and you'll see over time you too can progress just like Tom. I'm your host, Mark Bryant. Good night from the Fitness Corner.